More breaking news that we are covering right now. The family of a former NASCAR driver, Greg Biffle, confirms that he and his wife, Christina, were among those killed when a small plane that he owned crashed at a regional airport in North Carolina. Authorities earlier said that 7 people were killed in this crash, and dramatic amateur video that you're seeing right there shows moments following that impact. We want to warn you that it is troubling to watch. You can see the massive fireball from when that aircraft slammed into the ground at the Statesville Regional Airport this morning. For more on this, I want to bring in our transportation reporter, Sam Sweeney, who's been following this story for us. And Sam, obviously, there was a lot of worry that Biffle may have been on board as that plane is registered to a company he owns. But what more are we learning this hour?
We've now learned that he was, in fact, on board that plane, along with his wife, his 2 children. Also, 2 other people were on board. At least 2. There were 7 people on board total, I should say, including Biffle, his wife, and his kids. That plane was in the air less than 10 minutes. It had just taken off from that airport. Something went wrong and forced that pilot. We don't know who was flying. Biffle was a pilot, but we don't know if he was flying that plane. Something went wrong, and that plane tried to come back around. It was near the runway, but it just crashed short of that runway. And as we see in those pictures in that video, it explodes, and there was just no chance of anyone on board that plane surviving. It was a 44-year-old Cessna plane. Biffle had been a longtime pilot. He was a helicopter pilot. He had flown a number of rescue missions during the aftermath of Hurricane Helene in Asheville, North Carolina. And now tonight, the NASCAR community is mourning.
Well, certainly. And Sam, our affiliate in North Carolina is reporting that that particular airport, it's an uncontrolled airport, which means there's no control tower. Pilots are required to self-report their position. Look, obviously, this is going to be an ongoing investigation, and this is very much the early stages of that. But what comes next here?
Well, the NTSB has launched a GO team to figure out what happened here. If that plane did have black boxes on it, there's a chance that it didn't. It's quite old, private jet, so unclear if it did. They're going to look at that. They're going to look at the video. They're going to check weather. They're going to search that runway. That airport remains closed to try to pick up any clues that they can get, all that perishable evidence that they want to collect in the next 24 to 48 hours to figure out what happened here. But you mentioned it's an uncontrolled airport. That's quite common in smaller airports like this. And typically there's a frequency that the pilots can talk on. So if there are other planes in the air, they can be aware that there are planes nearby and what their intentions are. Think of it, you know, you have a busy intersection on a road, you have a traffic light, but if it's less busy and it's a 4-way stop, you only have a stop sign. That's the easiest way to think of an uncontrolled airport, which is, again, quite common across the country.
Yeah, I appreciate that analogy, Sam Sweeney. Thank you for your report.